Part 3 of the series Maximise the Value of Your Business. In this part we look at two key fundamental areas in building business value. Foundations of business value, without which you may not even have a business or a business of any value. And secondly, the key drivers of business value, which you can work on in increasing the value of your business. Like everything else, a business must be built on a good foundation. Often, when coming to sell the business, I have discovered a glaring hole or something else missing that could have been, and sometimes was, fatal to the sale of the business. So before we look at the key drivers of business value, let's look at the things we need to ensure are in place so that we can sell our business at all. If one of the foundations of business value is missing, and it's a crucial one, the business may be worth nothing at all, even if it's making $1 million a year. That's how important the following points are. Lease. If you are in retail or other premises, and length and security of lease is important for the business to be able to be carried on, you must ensure that you have enough lease to make the business viable for the buyer. Either you must have that length of lease to transfer, or there must be an indication from the landlord that such a lease is available. Intellectual property. You need to protect your intellectual property. If you have a product that relies on a particular design or patented process, you need to consider whether that should be protected under IP law. If you have a particular name, whether it is your trading name or the name of a product, you should consider trademarking it. Also trademark your domain name, including the .com or .com.au suffix. It is very easy, and you can do it yourself in Australia for around a couple of $100. If you have created a piece of artwork, article, manual, book, design, then copyright law automatically protects your copyright in the creation, as you are the creator. You do not need to do anything in that regard. Company, trading and domain names. On many occasions I have seen where a business owner does not have the right to the trading name under which the business trades. If you own a company name with that trading name as part of it, that will often overcome the problem. However, it is wise also to register the trading name through your local Office of Fair Trading or other regulatory authority. You should also ensure that your domain name registration is up to date, that you know who your domain name registrar is, and that you know who is hosting your website, at least. Client and supplier contracts. If a particular supplier is important to you, what arrangements do you have for continued supply? Would your business be safer if there was a contract between you and the supplier? Should you look to protect yourself by finding an alternative source of supply, just in case your current supplier goes out of business or increases prices too much? What about clients? Would some of your clients sign a contract promising to deal with you for a specified time into the future? If so, consider asking either clients or suppliers to enter into such contracts. A word of caution here, just be careful to ensure that if you do sign such a contract, it would not adversely affect the sale. So maybe a shorter term contract would be a better idea. For example, a buyer might not wish to be bound by your contracts. Take care in this area. Credit rating. Ensure that you have a good credit rating. Your balance sheet will disclose the size of your creditors, and if there is an abnormal ratio between sales and creditors, it could reflect badly on your business. Your credit rating is easily checked by an inquirer who wishes to consult the databases of the local or international credit agencies. Ensure that you don't come up with a bad mark as far as your credit report is concerned. Financial figures. The one thing that reflects badly on a business when an owner presents it to the market is the way the financial figures appear. One could write a whole book just on this area. However, at this stage, one just needs to acknowledge that the financial figures should be accurate, complete, relevant, easy to understand, and supporting the other facts of the business. Let me just say a few things about this area. Uncertainty about the financial position of the business makes a buyer nervous about the purchase. If you're saying that the business employs 10 people and financials show wages for 6, then you're creating uncertainty in the mind of the buyer. If your official figures don't match the actual trading figures of the business, then you will need to come up with a way of establishing actual trading figures that will satisfy the purchaser. You could do this by offering a trial of the business or produce other evidence to satisfy the purchaser of the financial position. History, track record and trends. A buyer, when looking to buy your business, will be looking at future income, future cash flows, and trying to assess where the business is headed. However, history is often a good guide to what might happen in the future. For example, your business might show poor trading over a number of years, and then a sudden increase in the last 6 months. This could make a buyer nervous, unless of course you can explain through examining the economic cycle or coming up with some other factor that is the cause of this. A buyer might think the business has been pumped up for sale, and there's not enough evidence to suggest the improvement will continue. If the trend for gross profit has been going down over the last couple of years, the buyer will want to know why. You will need to explain it. Have your margins been compromised by stiff competition? Or is there some other reason? If sales go up and down like a seesaw with no pattern, then a buyer has nothing to go on in trying to determine where the business is headed. The ideal scenario is to show a number of years of consistent sales growth and consistency in the ratios within the business. Here I include gross profit ratio, net profit ratio, wages to sales ratio, and other important ratios within your business. Chapter 6. The key drivers of business value. Once you have the foundations in place, you can proceed to work on the key value drivers that can boost business value dramatically. This is certainly the key chapter and the central plank of our whole program. These drivers are in no particular order, and you may go to the one you believe you can act on immediately and with little or no cost to yourself. Implementation of just one of the ideas that follow could dramatically boost the value of your business. So what might happen to your business and its value if you implement most or all of the ideas that follow? Transferability. When I talk about business value and high price, I talk in the same breath about transferability. Transferability is the hallmark of a business that will get top price in the market. A business is transferable if a buyer says to himself or herself, I can buy this business and most of the profits, if not all of the profits, will come across to me. Transferability is the theme that runs through most of the key drivers we're about to discuss. The first one is probably the most important, and that is your role in the business. Your role in the business is by far the most important driver of business value. When I first interview a potential seller of a business, I want to understand right away what it's going to take me to find someone to take over his or her role in the business. If you are highly important to the business and would be difficult to replace, then not only might you find it difficult to find a buyer, but also that buyer will reduce their bidding price based on the difficulty in replacing a key owner. Many small businesses suffer here because they never graduate from being a one-man show. There are many ways to overcome this problem, and some of them can be tricky and costly if you don't get it right. Here you are being asked to withdraw from some parts of the business that you are currently involved in, and you will be challenged to replace yourself with another resource. I am suggesting that you find someone to do the things that you are not good at. Remember the opening of this program when we told you about your strengths and weaknesses and how important they were in assessing the strength of your business. Systems. Just as important as your ability to make yourself less important to the business will be your ability to create systems. The systems, in effect, will help you in your goal of becoming less important to the business. Just think for a moment of the franchise model. Franchises generally sell for more dollars per dollar of profit than other businesses. Why? It's due to a lot of things other than systems, many of which we will discuss later. However, systems are crucial and high on that list of important things. Systems are basically processes that you set up to help personnel in the business do their job better. Systems provide people with reliability. You can systemize almost anything in a business: production, sales, processes, marketing. Systems, one of the key areas we need to look at in boosting our business value. Information technology. IT is bound up with your systems. Together they give you the ability to create a business that is highly transferable, because when you go, they will stay. When we consider information technology, we think of a number of areas: website, databases, social media, and systems. Whilst investment in information technology is investment in an intangible as opposed to a tangible investment like a piece of machinery or a building, it nonetheless adds considerable value to a business. Examples of good investment in technology would be upgrade to a website to add e-commerce ability, continual cleaning and maintaining of databases to ensure integrity of customer details, for example, email addresses and physical addresses, a Facebook page for the company, an employee to look solely after your social media, and the list could go on and on. Stock. If your business does run stock, make sure that your stock level is at the lowest possible without harming the business. If you are carrying too much stock, it will hold your business back, and in any event, a buyer will not want it or will offer you a reduced price. The more stock you are holding, the less you will get for the goodwill of the business. The more stock you are holding, the more expensive your business will appear and the less attractive to a buyer. Plant and equipment. It is important that your plant and equipment is kept in good condition at all times. If, when you come to sell your business, the physical assets have deteriorated and not been maintained, then your buyer would deduct any money needed to be spent on equipment or upgrading plant from the purchase price. What is more, your business will be devalued simply on the basis that it looks run down. Your product or service. If there is nothing special about your product or service, then you may have to rely on price to be competitive. We'll talk about emotion later, but it's good to note now that if you can differentiate your product or service in some way from your competitors, then your business may be attractive and hence valuable to an industry buyer as well as an individual buyer. Client mix. It's no good to have all your business wrapped up in a few clients. That is especially the case if there is no contract or tie with those clients. The reason should be obvious to you. Would you buy a business where the major client could pull out and leave the business owner barely making a profit? Of course you wouldn't. The way around it is to build the client base, thus reducing the overall importance of the top-heavy clients. One of the most important things, yet one of the most overlooked, is timing the sale of the business. There are a number of cycles which your business will be in the middle of right now. The calendar cycle, the industry cycle, the economic cycle, and the regulatory cycle. If you can, it's very important to sell at the right time in each of these cycles. So the calendar cycle. The shortest cycle generally is the calendar cycle. What time of year should you sell? Will you get more for your business if you sell coming into a top trading period? For example, coming into Christmas with a retail business. You will get less coming out of summer for a beachside business. The industry cycle. For many years people have been predicting the death of the video store. However, it just keeps on keeping on and is always coming up with new ways to be revived and regenerate trade. Music shops have closed as a result of the easy availability of music downloads online. Could we have seen that coming? Shouldn't we have seen that coming? Right now, retail businesses are suffering an onslaught from online businesses. The online businesses not being rent payers and having less overheads generally. How can you take advantage of this? How can you protect yourself or even capitalise on it if you have a retail store? What will retail trading look like in 5 years' time? You should be thinking about that now if you're in retail. The economic cycle. This can be the longest of the cycles, 7 to 10 years, and is probably, by virtue of that fact, easier to pick. We can't necessarily pick the beginning of the boom or bust, however we do know when we're in the middle of each of these economic states. In boom time, you should realise it won't last forever. And in the down part of the cycle, you should realise that stronger trading conditions are ahead. You should be looking out for them. The regulatory cycle. Some businesses benefit from government regulation. Businesses in Australia that have done this over the past 20 years include hotels, news agencies, childcare centres, employment agencies, mortgage brokers, franchises, building companies and many other businesses that can be affected by decisions that governments make. Be careful to watch out where you are in each of these cycles and maximise the sale of your business accordingly. Image, brand and reputation. Franchises are valuable because of their systems, as discussed earlier, but mainly due to their brand value. The brand is strong when the consumer sees the brand name and has trust in the product or service. The presence of many outlets in franchising leads the consumer to trust, inviting the customer to buy this brand because it is well known and hence can be trusted. The fact that a brand has many outlets is also another factor in favour of franchising. How do you build brand value into your business other than by franchising? Well, you need to continually boost consumer confidence by providing excellent service and seeking recommendations for your service. We spoke about this under the heading of product and service. You can be different by being the best. You know you're arrived at this point when most of your business is done through word of mouth recommendation. Emotion, perception and need. Traditional economic theory suggests that people always make rational decisions. That is, they will choose the most economical option, find the most valuable product, pay as little as possible for expenses, and overall take the most rational path when making purchasing decisions. Those purchasing decisions may be decisions about the food that their family eats, or investment decisions about the houses they might buy or investments they may make. Anything to do with their economic future. There is, however, another branch of economics commonly called behavioural economics, which calls into question this premise that we always act rationally. We have said earlier that business value is based on a set of economic principles arising out of commonly accepted business valuation theory. In other words, a buyer acting rationally will buy the business which returns the most for the investment outlaid. We will now see that people don't always make decisions based on economic rationalism. How can you use behavioural economics to boost the value of your business? Before we answer that question, let's have a look at a survey done of business owners, asking them why they bought their franchise business. The answers to the survey were as follows. Lifestyle, 33%. Brand security and support, 27%. Self-direction, 19%. Income, down there at 16%. For skills betterment, 3%. And all other reasons, 1%. The mistake we often make, being in this industry ourselves, is to think that people are making decisions purely on rational grounds, or we think it's all about the financials. Not only business brokers, but also accountants and other business advisory professionals fall into that trap. Daniel Pink, in his book Drive, says that 3 things drive man, and not one of them is money. In his well-researched book, he puts man's motivation down to autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Let's have a look at those in turn. Autonomy, being in control of one's future. Mastery, being really good at something, loving what you do. Purpose, having a higher motive for the things you do. See how closely these relate to the results of the above survey. So now, how can we get emotion, perception and need working for us in the sale of our businesses? Some points for you. When you start the business or when you buy it, think about whether it will be an easy business to sell. Think about your product or service. Will it be in demand at the time you would propose to sell your business? Food establishments, supermarkets, cafes and restaurants, businesses that provide essential products or services. These businesses have been around forever and are popular because people perceive that they will be around forever. Next, give a solid impression that the business offers good lifestyle to the owner. Try to work fewer hours and work smarter. Clean up the office, factory or shop to make it look as though it's a nice place to work in. Run your business by the book. Pay your taxes and all staff awards or better wages than that. A buyer does not want to think he's buying into a nightmare when he buys your business. Make sure the business presents well at the time it goes on the market. If you pick up on some of these things, you will have emotion, perception and need working for you. Cash flow planning. If you are not good with figures, then I suggest you hire somebody who can plan your cash flow as you build your business. I cannot stress enough the importance of this point. Many business owners undertake expenditure, even according to their written plan. However, don't judge accurately enough how much things are going to cost. Murphy's Law reigns supreme in small business as it does elsewhere. Things will take longer, things will cost more, and things will go wrong. Form your team. As we often say throughout this program, you will not